Hello, hello, hello. It's Friday. I'm CJ. This is your new CJ day, so we're very, thanks CJ. It's Friday. Yay. It isn't actually Friday today, it's Thursday. It is Thursday, the 8th of June. This is election day in the UK, and I'm freaking out. You don't really need to ask who I'm voting for, which weirdly, when it comes to being outed, boy do I have a story for you. Of the ways of coming out to people, the least good one, the most very bad one, the best worst way that I can think of to come out to people is doing it via the Daily Mail. It is the worst of all newspapers. It is the worst of all newspapers. It is an unapologetically right-wing, bigoted, smug, preachy, hate-filled newspaper that is just the worst. Just backstory, for those of you who are new or haven't followed it or forgotten. I was commissioned to write a book last year. It's a book about gender diversity to go into schools. I was introduced to the publishers from the charity that I worked for. It's a tiny little book done by an independent publishers. I'll put the link down there. If you fancy a read, knock yourselves out. I had sent an edit off to my publishers, and then I had gone out with some friends. The next day, I was woken up by phone calls, and they don't believe in things like journalism or fact-checking. So they published this story, and they published a story about me. They got my name right, and they got the name of the book right, and that is it. Which it wasn't something I'd ever expected to happen, just because I didn't see any of the book as being a particularly big deal. Essentially a book that can be summed up as like, be nice to people and talk about things without freaking out. Which is ironic, really, because all people did was be mean and freak out. Off the back of that, The Guardian then ran a piece on me. Certainly like the beginning quarter of this year was like a really weird period of time. You forget how many people you know, and that's the only way that I can like sum it up. It turns out that everybody that I'd ever met had read this article and therefore had seen me, and had seen me as being like an out publicly trans person. This was like being in a roller coaster going down a hill really fast without any of those. They're not seatbelts. Do you know what I mean? Like the rail. I was freewheeling through all of this. The response to that was really interesting, actually, because it went one of two ways. I had people that I hadn't seen in years, and people that I hadn't spoken to and that I hadn't had any contact with, who got in touch with me, offering support, offering, you know, encouragement. And then I had a really curious response from some people in my life, which was just like a complete shutting down, negating of any of what had gone on, a sort of like denial that it was happening. For as long as I live, this will be one of those things, you know, like when people Google you, when something comes up, this is going to be one of those things. That, at least, I was somewhat aware of. That is something that's going to have me outed for the rest of my life. And when we talk about outing, and I know for a lot of people the threat of being outed is like a really terrifying one, for me it's been really freeing. I go into encounters with people knowing what the bottom line is. There is an understanding of who I am already. That is really great because it just feels super liberating. It means I don't have to go into every situation explaining something. And certainly, while I blend in society more, I certainly don't do it all of the time. It really depends where I am, who I am, what I'm wearing. So, such a crapshoot. I never really know what the things are. I'm so open about it that it saved, I think it may have saved me. I think in the times when my brain has found it really hard, I found it really liberating to be like, this is just my label. And I understand if you don't feel that comfort, and I understand if there's a fear. Now, I also, like, 100%, I am saying this within the context of living in the UK. And I'm saying this within the context of understanding my legal rights, having legal rights, having employment rights, having all of those kinds of things. I know that I'm protected by things in my government, by things in the world, and that's really important to me. Just as important as it is to like keep fighting for them, because they can always go away. But I've really taken advantage of that, and that's really worked, and I think that's been better for me. I think that's been good for me. That being said, don't come out by the Daily Mail. And if you do, don't read the comments. But in general, being outed was actually, perversely, something that's been great for me. So, yeah, I guess mainstream right-wing media is not necessarily how everybody wants to come out. I certainly wouldn't sell it as a life experience, but it's my life experience, and c'est la vie. So this is it. So I will speak to you next week. I'm now going to go curl up with my dog and my anxiety, and try to avoid too much news about what's going on in the world, at least for the next 12 hours. So I will see you next week.